Let's see if we can improve that image classification model. See if we can do a little bit better if we add some more data. So let's go to our data sets, and we're going to go back to our last set of data with our lizards and dogs. And I'm going to import some more data. So we will select some files. We're going to go into the images here, and we're going to get a bunch more dogs. So we'll have, let me see here, we got a few dozen images here. We're going to open those. And looks like we probably are good here. These are all going to be default, so we're not going to set whether these are training or validation or test images. And we're going to continue. So once we've gone through this process, we'll be able to upload these images. That's going to take just a moment here to get those all in. And that import will take a few minutes, so we'll come back. Now that we've finished importing all of those images, we'll just click label or the unlabeled, and we're gonna make sure we have more than 10 of these displayed, because we have looks like we have 40 new ones. So we'll select all, and we're going to assign the dog label to all of these. These are all dog images. Once we've done that, we can import the rest of our images. Now you could upload all of these at once if you wanted to, but the problem is if you upload all of them at once, you end up in a situation where you have to individually label everything, and that might be a little bit of a tedious thing to do. So if we do them all at once in folders like this, then we can very quickly just assign labels. So we're going to hit continue, and that's going to upload the rest of these 40 of the lizards. And once that's done, we'll be able to start training our model and see if we get any better results with this the second model. Now we've got the rest of our images uploaded and imported to the data set, so we can now let's go ahead, we'll close this, and we're going to get 50 on the page, and we will select all, assign this label, and choose lizard. There we go. So now we have quite a bit more data. You know, before we had 40 images, now we have 120. So that's a decent amount. So let's click Train New Model, and we're going to have image classification again, and we're going to take the normal settings here, and we'll call this lizards and dogs, and we could train as a new version of an existing model, so we could just pick that one, or we could just see how this operates as a brand new model. So let's go ahead and train a new model. So we'll call this lizards and dogs more data. There we go. And we see the advanced options here. Now, one of the interesting things is that because we have more data, we're going to have more validation data, and we're going to have more test data. So, before we had 20 images, so we only had 2 validation and test images, but now we can actually get quite a bit more based on this data set. 10% of the 60 will have 6 validation images for each one of these labels. So that should give us different results, hopefully better results, but we'll see how this actually works out. So we could start a model as a training point, or as a base point here. So if we select this, then we could actually go off and pick a base model to start with that as a training. We're going to create this as a completely separate model, just to see how a brand new model trained with more data compares to a older model trained with some subset of the data. So let's go ahead and continue, and we could take a look at feature attribution here, which will allow us to inspect a little bit further why that is, why each one of these is coming. But we'll take a look at that feature a little bit later. So let's go ahead, and we're gonna use our minimum hours and use early stopping as well, because it probably won't take a full 8 node hours. But let's go ahead and hit start training, and now that's going to go, and we can take a look and see what the status is now, and we have this one going. The last one took 2 hours 18 minutes, so there's a good chance this one's going to take a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and come back to that when it's finished. Now we have a new model that we can take a look at, so let's click into that. It's fully trained now, and we can see we have received evaluated better precision and recall, and our confusion matrix here is 100% for both of these. So I think that at least on the validation data, and we saw 12 test images, this looks pretty good. So if we want to take a look and deploy and test this, we can go ahead and we'll deploy this to an endpoint, and we'll go through the same process here. More data endpoint. And we can just continue. We'll say traffic split 100%. We could switch that up if we had multiple nodes, or if this was a real life application. But for demonstration purposes, this does the job. So we'll go ahead and deploy that, and that'll take just a few minutes, and then we should be able to come back and test it. Now we have our endpoint up and active. We can go ahead and test it out. We'll try to test some of these images here so we can see that definitely looks like a dog to me. That's a dog, and there we go. Let's see here. What do we have here? This is this upload's going. And that's a lizard. Okay, so we're getting better predictions here. It looks like these are all pretty consistent. Let's see what this one looks like. We have a lizard. Okay. And that's a dog. Okay, so this one's working out pretty well. This one seems to be, this one actually a little close. Maybe a dog, but you can see that the prediction is probably more on the side of lizard there. So let's see here. That's definitely a dog. I don't think that one's easy to mistake for a lizard. That one's a lizard. And we have another dog. So we can actually, go back to the evaluation here, and we can compare these two models. So we have this one here, this evaluation. Let's see if we can come back and here we go. We got this particular model, and we can change its description, its alias, all of these things. But if we go back into this model, and we compare this, we can now, this is lizards and dogs, so you can see here 4752, this is our more data model. And if we add, we can actually go to our older model, and we can pick that version. There we go, and we can pick the evaluation that we had there. And there we go. So we can take a look, and you can see now we can compare a little bit, and it looks like, just on the basics here, we have better, better figures, better details on our newer model with more data. So this is a situation where a little bit more data was able to help our predictions. And we can also compare, when we have the blue and red here, the precision is better here. Like we have a higher amount of precision and recall across the confidence threshold. So I think that helps quite a bit with the more data helps quite a bit with how we're actually looking at this. Now, using this comparison screen, you can actually compare lots of different model evaluations, so that you can really kind of look side by side at your models as you develop new models. And you can see here the confusion matrix, probably a little bit better here with the newer model that we just trained. So overall, we can see this is probably going to be a better model for our purposes. And I think that, we can, you're going to find that as you iterate on these things, you'll find probably better and better models with more and more data. Though sometimes you do run into the problem where you have overfitting, or you've trained against a particular data set, and now new kinds of data are going to affect the way that your model behaves. So hopefully that's a good way to compare these models. Hopefully this was helpful to kind of see how we can improve. Thank you for watching.